Recording in progress.
This is one phone call.
Can you hear us, Trevor?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
We can hear you pretty good too.
Oh, perfect. We must have new speakers.
Yeah, the speakers are good.
Heck yeah. How's everybody doing today?
Good, good. Kathy, are we good to go with the audio?
On the audio, I don't know why the cameras are not working though.
It just had a message that he declined to be a.
No, he's fine. I don't know. I don't know anything about why the audio part would not be showing all of the, normally we would have, we just put the panelist.
Is the camera on?
Oh, I can see you now.
Okay, perfect.
And I'll mute the volume from this. Well, actually, no, I think it connects to the camera. I think we're good.
Or something.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right.
All right, Councilmember Hess is out today, so let's get started. Heidi, Arts Commission, what we got?
First thing, first. Handouts to begin with. All right. Well, my name is Heidi Hasslinger, and I'm one of the volunteering arts commissioners. I'm here to brief you on a project that the Art Commission has been moving forward on. In January, the Arts Commission voted to make its theme for this year the Yelm Centennial. One of the outcomes of this was to shift the focus of our first signal light electrical box wrap project, and it's to be located on First Street across from the old Wolf building. So our focus changed away from a call to art in the community to instead using an historic photo of Yelm in sepia tone. We had our city representatives bring in archived historical photos and where we unanimously selected a very iconic image of the old Wolf building with what looks like a gathering of town folk around the mayor who appears to be making an announcement. With very positive feedback from our city representatives on vetting the idea amongst city officials, the Arts Commissioners voted to go ahead and get this photo rendered to improve its quality for scaling up to wrap size. The electrical box is almost 4 feet wide, 4.5 feet tall, and about 2.5 feet deep. We have been working with David Keenan with Studio 703 Wraps, and who is the creator of the City of Yelm's current logo. As the face of the electrical signal box is roughly square and the photo is rectangular, to make it all fit, the extra space became an opportunity to recognize the Yelm Centennial. With the added suggestion of to use the camas lily that currently is adorning our spring prairie meadows, the following design before you has become the completed proof. As you can see, the camas lily has become a flower surround behind the City of Yelm logo with its centennial banner. The two side panels and rear panels of the signal box also will display this beautiful city logo with Pride of the Prairie beneath in script font. The cost for this project will be $1,802.23 and will be covered within our approved Arts Commission budget. All of the completed photo rendering and installation of the wrap is included in this cost. I have reached out to the Department of Transportation and already have project approval. We just need their project application to be signed by our city administrator, Mr. Todd Stansel. And hopefully this may be accomplished this evening. Our focus is to get this wrap project completed this month, well ahead of Prairie Days. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to field them.
Good job.
Yeah, this is for you, sir. Do you need a pen?
$1,800. I wish you were building roads.
Yes, and Mr. David Keenan has donated probably over $1,000 in his time already. He is very passionate about the city of Yelm, and as we were bringing the idea to him, he started rendering before my eyes, and we could barely put the brakes on to, you know, get this project like, oh, we gotta go talk to the city people. So we are just hoping to march with it and get it up for centennial year.
How long did he say it would take to make it, Heidi?
3 days.
Okay, so this can go up right away.
Yes.
In order to install it.
Yes, he is, and Michelle and myself have volunteered to assist with the scrub down of the box. And once this here goes in back to the DOT, we will meet with a DOT representative at the box with David so he can go over the what fors and whatnots about what to do and not to do with the electrical box and just to go over particulars, so.
And Heidi, you did all that checking in with the DOT to make sure we were up to snuff?
Absolutely. We've got, it's a 17-page thing with all their bylaws and everything, but they have vetted it for that it's not going to be a distraction or a negative impact of you know, of the art itself or a distraction for traffic.
Thank you for all your time and commitment on that. That's a lot of work.
You're welcome.
It's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, so we're excited to get it up.
You're just making a copy of it. I signed it, but.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And then do we need to let Kathy know to release our budget payment for it?
We have
Send the invoice, yes, well,
Take that as well.
okay.
Thanks, Heidi.
Oh, you're welcome.
That's it, right? Yeah. Something to vote on, so.
Well, I mean, yeah, and we're just hoping to just keep marching with it. Get it all done, installed this May.
Cody, oh, he's right there, just in time. Your little housing displacement MOU, you're up.
All right, thank you, council. So this is something that's on your agenda for next week. We just wanted a precursor to kind of, if you have any questions about it, this is a mandatory study the state is requiring. So we're partnering with TRPC, Lacey, Tumwater, Olympia to create a displacement and racially disparate impact analysis. Our contribution is based on population, so I think we're contributing 11% of the overall cost, while the other 3 studies in the county are contributing more. It is a study required to be done by the state. We have to do it, so it makes sense to partner up instead of just doing it ourselves and spending a lot of money. We spend a lot less money. And the total bill is $99,000. We're paying $12,000 of that. So just over 11%.
What are they studying?
Housing displacement and racially disparate impact analysis.
How are you gonna?
Cody, what does that mean?
We're not doing that.
Explain that to me like.
Okay, so
I didn't understand what you're talking about.
it identifies, so it looks at our policies, regulations in all the cities and areas that would create racial disparity. It looks at zoning that may have discriminatory effects. So if you remember, or maybe you don't, in your history classes, there was a lot of old like HOA codes and zoning codes that prevented like people of color from even like moving into a zone or moving into an HOA. And some of those laws still exist in some areas and they may be just ignored or they may not even know that they're there. So they look through those to try to remove those. Infrastructure availability for all levels of walks of life. So higher range versus lower range. So if someone is on the lower end of the spectrum for finances, there's still infrastructure availability if they wanted to build a home in an area instead of us just not having infrastructure out to that area. So they wouldn't be able to build a home there, or they have to, expand it themselves. People at different higher risk for displacement. So people that are on the border of losing their house, how can they be helped, and how can they be, what we can do or what policies we can implement to help people that are on the brink of losing their homes or maybe losing their jobs. How can we prevent that from happening? So they look at all of our policies together as one group.
Like all the hundreds of people that were in short sales just a few years ago that lives in this area?
Something similar to that, yeah. It's the idea is to avoid things like the 2008 crash where everybody lost in foreclosure, and also to prevent barriers from people becoming homeowners or getting into housing at all. So it's an impact analysis to look at all of it.
Yes, to me.
It's required by the state to do it. If we partner, it's the easiest way to do it. They're going to do it regardless. So if we jump on board, we save a lot of money having to do it ourselves. So we budget roughly $50,000 a year for these kind of things. It's in our budget for regional planning. So it's something we budget for. It's just that we know things are going to pop up like this. So
Who's doing the study?
TRPC, Mark Daly and
So the
Paul.
state's requiring the study and TRPC's doing the study,
TRPC is doing the study for Thurston County. We're all contributing to pay for them to do it.
but the state's the one's done the requirement end of this thing.
Correct. There is a lot of things we call unfunded mandates that the state passes down. This is one of those things.
Wow.
So the best way to tackle it is partner.
And
And
just, and this is for you as well as your entire group here. Do you see this as a problem that we're faced here in Yelm?
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when the state has
No, I don't mean that. I mean what they're mandating us. I mean, do you see us having an issue with these things that we're studying to see if we're having an issue with?
why the study will tell us.
There is barriers to entry. It's just called money.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
Give
thinking.
any money to anybody else. So that's impossible to fix.
I don't know if it necessarily happens as much as in Yelm as it does in some other bigger, larger communities, but it doesn't mean that in the future it won't happen or couldn't happen.
They'll get us for another study in the future. That's sure.
I'd like to point out if we got a recruiting shortage, so if they join the military, they can get and deploy, they can get a VA loan, go get a house. Sorry, my 2 cents.
Don't need money for that.
We do, so.
so any other questions? I know it's going to come before council next week to pass. It's an MOU with these cities to all consult on this. We have the money budgeted to do this. We just need the MOU part signed that has all the cities paying into this. So instead of us just paying 100,000 by ourselves, we each pay a little bit and the study gets done.
We're being forced to do this and you found us a way to save money on doing this, as you generally do.
That's the plan. Yeah, our team did find a way to save money. So
Thank you.
good way to do it.
Cool.
Thanks.
Not a problem.
Hey, Cody, you're up for water system plan update.
So here's a fun one. So in front of you so right now, if you remember, our water system plan was authorized early last year when we got our water rights and everything started coming on board. We had to do a water system plan. We knew that was going to happen. Water system plan take multiple years to do because of all these things that go into them. We're drawing near the end. We actually submitted the water system plan for initial review for Department of Health and Ecology. This is the CIP. CIP stands for Capital Improvements Plan, and this is just the water side. So when they studied our entire water system, this is what they came up we would need to do over the next 20 years. The reason why you're seeing 23.3 to 24.2 is at that point, you're kind of in a maintenance mode. So after 2033, you'll be just maintaining the line. You're putting everything lined in the city will have been upgraded to PVC. Everything will be constructed that city needs. The only thing not on here is a well. At some point, we are going to need to install or build another well, but there's other options that we're looking into. So we didn't include it in this because we didn't want to bind ourselves to building a well when we might be able to buy an area that has a well. So you can see on here the whole CIP. The reason I'm bringing this to you, you don't have to approve this. It's just to know the money that the water system is going to spend. And here's the good and bad, right? The good news is we lowered water rates in 2021, as you remember. We haven't changed those rates in 3 years. While a lot of systems are struggling now with inflation and trying to keep up with things, our growth has kept us afloat. And our growth will continue to keep us afloat, it looks like, until at least 2026, 27. And I believe if we grow at the rate we're going, our growth will continue to keep us afloat. That means we shouldn't have to change water rates in the next 4 years. Everyone else who's raising water rates, our water rates should be able to stay the same for the next 4 years. Our water development charges, those might get adjusted, and that's for new construction coming in, paying into the system. Those might go up a little bit, but our current customers won't have to see a rate increase, which is really good. That's good news all around. The bad news is there's a lot of money we have to spend to do these upgrades. So water rates, even though they're really well, there's not a lot of room for flexibility to go anywhere else with water rates. They have to kind of stay where they're at. So we won't have the ability probably to lower water rates. There may be options to lower other rates, but not water, just because of these capital improvements we have to do. And we know inflation's increasing. And you can see on here, these numbers do take some inflation to account. But if we get inflation like we did, a year and a half ago, where things go up 10, 20%, those numbers aren't calculated. This is about a 3% to 4% inflation mark on these. So I'm happy to answer any question about what you're seeing on here, and I can break some specific projects down if you want.
Yeah, I understand like the 7 million right there on 2024, because we approved the southeast tank construction. But I'm curious about in 2026, if it's a 4 million for the additional storage and evaluation and construction, what does that consist of?
So we'll need another tank. So as soon as this tank is done, we're gonna need one more tank to fully utilize our water rates. So the idea is build it in 2026. The reason it's slightly cheaper is because the plans we have are good. It can be this very similar tank. We don't have to redesign the wheel. You'll have to redesign for the area you're in if the ground's different, if that matter. But the tank itself is fine design. We can reuse that tank design. That saves us quite a bit of money and other things. Yeah.
Well, I guess what I like seeing is we're spending buco bucks early on.
Yes.
I think like just so later on, we have less expenditures.
Correct.
By the time we get to the year 2030, it's like, okay, and then by the time we go from 2033, we're just maintaining things.
Correct.
So I guess that makes sense. You got to spend the money now for this, the infrastructure. So.
Yeah. And that'll be that tank, that 4 million will be the last tank the city needs to grow. We won't have to build another reservoir probably in our lifetimes. We will need a well at some point just to on-demand water. So during summertime, when everyone turns their sprinkler on, everyone turns their stuff on, all the pumps kick on, we'll probably need another well as we grow to keep up with that flow. But we'll have storage, so it won't matter for the long term. We just need another well to keep up with demand flow.
And Cody, that includes if we wanted to have new development somewhere?
This includes everything in our UGA. So if our UGA was fully expanded, like we grew out, made city all it could be and developed all of that, this would cover it.
Including the 640?
Yes, that's already in the city, yes. So this actually covers quite a few properties that aren't in the city. So just for your info, that's what it was.
640.
No.
So just a brief update, we're still working out the service contract with Kidder Matthews. We've gone back and forth a couple of times between our city attorney to try to get some clarification on scope of services. We're trying to get them to lock down what the scope of services will be for the consulting phase. And so we got another update today. We're going to look at that and kind of go back and forth to try to clear that up. We've also expanded the time that we allotted for the consulting phase because we want them to take their time, flush out, different ideas, take time to hear from citizens, take time to hear from stakeholders, take time to hear from you folks as well. And so we're just trying to work that out. We're trying to do our due diligence ahead of time and make sure that what we're expecting to get from them is what we get from them. And so we're just kind of going through it and flushing out what that might look like for everybody. So what I would think would be more of a realistic timing with this whole thing is that we bring this to the June study session. You have a chance to look at the proposed service contract. And then after that, we'd go to council and ask for your approval for the mayor to sign that contract, and we would get going. One of the ideas in here was that our original timeline for consulting, I think, was middle of July. They were done. And so after kind of going through everything and talking between the mayor and I and Cody and then listening to, when we brought it up at the retreat, I think it would be in our best interest to slow the consulting phase down a little bit, make sure that we're connecting all the dots in there. We're not in a hurry to move to the marketing phase, so let's flesh out the consulting a little better. and just make sure everybody's being heard. And when we move to that next phase, we're well equipped and everybody feels comfortable doing so. So we set the timeline for the consulting to the end of the year, up to the end of the year. It doesn't have to be, but it could be, as to not feel like we're rushing this thing in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of where we are with it. And as of right now, we should be at the June study session. I'll bring copies of the scope of services and the contract to everybody. What I'll probably do is email it out before this study session, so you have time to look at it. And then if you see anything in there, then of course we have time to flush that out as well and make sure that whatever we're asking the mayor to sign, everybody's comfortable with. So where we are with that, unless there's more questions.
Do you think that's going to affect the costs?
So what we have right now on the scope of services, they broke down different phases of the consulting piece. I think it could affect the cost if the city gets to the point to where we don't feel comfortable yet with what we have done. And we want to do a little bit more maybe outreach or a little bit more, brainstorming on what could go there or different ideas. But that would be something we could come back to council with at that point and see if the council, wants to extend the consulting phase. But having said that, the 25,000 up to 25,000 for the consulting phase does get us a fair amount of hours. And there's also work that we will do staff-wise during the consulting phase to seek input. We'll set up surveys on our website. Different things like that won't cost us money. That's something we'll do internally to gather that input. So based on the initial hours they've provided so far, I would kind of be shocked if we had to go beyond that. But if we do, obviously we'd come to council and go from there.
Ready?
Are we gonna have another meeting like we did before, our little committee?
So one of the things that we've had them put in with the startup of the consulting is a couple different meetings with the council as well. We absolutely could do our own initial meeting. One of the things that we talked about doing, and the mayor can chime in on this if he wants, but kind of when we kick this thing off is to have a phone conversation with them, just to clear up expectations and kind of what we want out of them on the startup. And that way, when they come to a study session or whatever and, introduce themselves and start talking, they at least have a little bit of an idea of where we're going. Again, we'll do everything possible internally, staff-wise, to get them where they need to be sooner than later. So it's not, reinventing the wheel every time we talk to them.
There might be some conversations with that group that we had to decide on which group we wanted, but we understand this is a big decision to be made for the city with the lasting implications. We'll absolutely be involving council in all this process here. We'll have many times to input. We'll have the community make input as well. We'll probably have an open house or something to that effect. To ensure that the community's heard, the council's heard, and we have a good product moving forward.
So then we'll have you said you'll send an email for the June study session?
Yeah, as of right now, unless we just can't reach some sort of agreement on a scope of service, but I would imagine right now that we would send something out for you to all be able to review prior to the study session. That way, when we talk about it at the study session, you're not seeing it for the first time.
Can I request a hard copy for Tracy? Because his laptop's just for show.
Let's forget I can get him a hard copy. Anything else on this? Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Treat, is that?
Yeah, I'll start us off on that. Kind of recapping some of the bigger items that we discussed, but council, feel free to chime in and give your take as well. Overall, I thought it went really well. We had full attendance from the council there. I thought it was really informative having good budget discussions from our staff, from our council, understanding priorities from both. Obviously, we're not going to be able to fund every single priority that everyone requested, but we're going to, do our best to make sure that the priorities are in general moving forward. we will be bringing back the general government committee, and we will likely have that ready to go next month. It will be one council member on it permanently, the mayor pro tem, and then 2 rotating council members. The exact, I don't know the exact days that, or months that we'll switch off, but we'll rotate, but it will likely rotate just to get people informed of what's going on with the government operations and on the executive side. A homelessness committee will be dissolved per the city council, and we'll have a city council meeting to publicly have that discussion to actually dissolve it officially, because it is part of our, what code is it? Kathy?
It's in our municipal code. We'll bring an ordinance forward that will remove that from the code.
And so we'll likely see that in the first meeting in June. We discussed a little bit on the social media policy. I know that was an item also important for the staff as well to determine how we can deal with some of those like ads and clickbait and some of those that are trying to do ill intent by providing links on our comments and stuff like that. So I think staff is happy that we're going to be able to clean that up and provide a policy for council to approve. We talked about possible property acquisition. We're not going to say where currently, but we are looking to move the library and possibly the museum there as a permanent home. We will have public discussion, of course, when and if that time comes that we do have a proposal for city council to look at. But again, likely next month. Other than that, long range and goal setting. Transportation seemed to be a priority for all of council, making sure we get some of those projects completed that have been started, and some of the projects that haven't been started yet to get those started, at least in the planning phase. I know my priority as well, a lot of you on council is get that 4-lane road connected all the way down to our state route through our 640 acres. And I think that'll kind of spur development and create a lot of I don't know, progress towards that project and just getting all those projects started. Other than that, happy to have input from the council on how they thought the retreat went.
I thought it went well. I thought that there was a lot of information, as you just described. That was all very important. But I think that one of the things you didn't mention, which was I feel was really important, was the council had an opportunity to get together and get to know each other. Off camera, away from the from the citizens, away from the cameras. And I think that was I don't think you can put a price on the value of that. I think that we got to learn things about each other that maybe we didn't know. In terms of, I think that we find out a lot of stuff that we think we know about people. Turns out may not be as accurate as we thought it was. So I thought there was huge value in that, and I felt it was worth mentioning.
I agree. That was very worthwhile. Thanks for mentioning that.
I feel like it was, again, information is always fantastic, but beyond information, I think is important is culture and environment. And I think what you guys have established with the City Hall and the employees here at City Hall is very healthy. And you can tell by the way everybody shared to even have the opportunity to give a wish list or to ask for something. Here's the need. And we know we can't fulfill every need, but the opportunity to be aware of what the needs are. It's very important. And not just that, but you can tell when people communicate to each other and how they speak to each other, that there's a very good, healthy culture within the city. And that to me is commendable. So that helps me see where we're headed and lets me know that what's happening is a good thing. So, and thank you for again, making room for us to be there and to experience that. And it was good to get to know everybody and listen to their thoughts, off public meeting or camera, whatever it is. So what do you think? So, yeah, it's good to know.
And yeah, we do have some really good staff here in Yelm, and it's wonderful to lead this. So
yeah.
I like that little town too. It was very cute.
yeah,
Just nice to be off-site and saying clandestine. That's not.
Well, we met the mayor.
yeah, we did meet the mayor.
Oh, yeah. That was funny.
That's good.
That's true.
That's good.
Anything else? Todd, anything from you?
No, yeah, just the retreat was good. We're already talking about some ideas for next year, possibly. We always look on ways to improve what we're doing. The management retreat obviously happened the day before and then the morning, and we felt the same way about it. It's very productive. We went down there last year and did a similar path and same thing. It's just nice to get away. It's a very small community. They're very welcoming, very, glad to see us in that time of year at the hotel for sure. And so we had a great day as well as a management team and talked about a lot of big things for us that's going on, obviously budget wise, but other things as well. And so it is a bonding time, right? Like Tracy said, you can't really, you don't know what to expect with that, right? You just don't know what the day will lead to or the nights will lead to, but it creates that opportunity to get to know each other in a whole different way. And, it makes it more personal, right? So when we're working together, it becomes more personal rather than just business. And so, yeah, I completely agree. So yeah, thank you for pointing that out, because that is something that probably the biggest benefit, right? Because we can have conversations about topics right here, but as far as bonding and doing those types of things, definitely a great opportunity. So that's all I got.
Let's talk to you. All right. Mayor's report. June 5th, we will be having discussion with DA Davidson for the YMCA. Todd, myself, and I believe Stephanie might be joining us for that one. Talked about some financial options, different ways we could fund it. And of course, we'll be bringing that back to council if council can have a discussion on that. Community Conversations is also happening tomorrow. Tomorrow is our in-person at noon at, where are we at? Is it Pho? Yelm Pho? Yeah. We've gone to every restaurant in Yelm. And if there's someone that we haven't been to, let us know. We will put you on the list. It's been one of the pretty cool things that we've done to kind of increase transparency. It's a very casual conversation we have. If people want to know anything. Burger King, McDonald's, we can hit them up. McDonald's been here for a long time. And yeah, it's been good to hear from citizens and residents. I've heard the criticism though about being in the day, it's hard to get to. So to that end, as I've announced and council's been aware of, we will be moving at least one quarterly. I think I'll be in June next month for June's a happening month for us. We'll be doing an evening community conversation. So it's, again, town hall, but very informal. You can just come and just say your piece. If you want something improved, if you have any complaints, if you have some praise, whatever, we'll take it all. So looking forward to those. And then we're going to Yakima for our labor relations conference. A couple of us from the management team. That's about it.
Dates of the retreat, the first thing we talked about in the morning, that item. When are we going to discuss that again? Or
Regarding property acquisition?
that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
We will be.
It was secret, so I didn't want to
We
mention the
The
word.
only reason we don't say the actual property is so, they don't have inflation of the price or anything, just because the city's talking about purchasing it. So we will, as soon as we are ready, though, we will bring it forward to council and also publicly so we can have the discussion. If people want to chime in that way, can do as well. Yep.
I have.
Yes.
I'm wondering, for years, and I remember this being sold and I never really bought it, and I still don't, that in summertime, it's normal for all of our yards to turn brown and for everything, the swales and everything to turn brown. And I don't necessarily agree with that. And I'm wondering if we can have a discussion about, in the future, moving forward on, and, when we are doing our new roads and things where we have our swales and things, if we can consider irrigating them with, with our reclaimed water. So we don't have to be brown. So we can be, we're in Washington, it's the Evergreen State.
Yeah.
That's side of it.
We can talk about that. I mean, he wants to put it everywhere here. And when there's new construction, especially the bigger projects, we absolutely do put that purple pipe into 640 acres. When we expand down there, 100% it'll go with us. So.
Yeah, I think we ought to, with the whole irrigation systems where, they turn on, they really, the technology's really come a long way to where we can be, it can be part of the beautification of our city.
Agreed, and it should be. We should utilize that water that we have. It's very clean water and it's
Well,
good.
I think what you did in effectively getting the rates lowered as well, that helps people to have the option of actually watering their grass and instead of just, yeah, it's what we do here. We just let our grass die and all walk around in the mud.
You remember, I mean, certainly you were on council, Ontario as well, when we had people coming in here complaining about $500, $600, $700 bills, and that was the norm for years. And people, you know, they couldn't deal with it, and we finally did something about that, and now we don't. I mean, it's still spendy to wash and water your lawn, but it's not nowhere near where it was. And
Well, and the technology is, I mean, I put in one in my backyard this last summer and, you know, it was ready for the impact and it really wasn't. I mean, it's just the science involved, which puts out just enough water for your yard, and how much time in each zone. And they zone it all out to where you don't need this massive amount of water pressure. It just, you know, it's just your standard pressure. It's really interesting. And I think that, like I said, I think make our community a lot more inviting to folks.
yeah, I agree. We will expand as much as we can. And if there's anyone that wants to hook up to it with a large piece of property, we're working on.
I don't mind being brown.
I will say that tomorrow, Governor candidate Semi Bird's coming into town. That's pretty cool. Don't recall governor candidates coming to town very often. So it'll be a long shot tomorrow if anyone wants to check that out. Long shot.
Oh, that long shot?
From 4 to 7. So I don't know anything about them. That was kind of neat. Hopefully the other candidates will swing by through our little city. So yeah, we'll go let's do them. I'll be there. I'm just curious because I don't know nothing about them. Anything? Is that me? No? You good?
You guys have all spoken so very eloquently about the retreat. I really have nothing to add about that. At the community center, that was a really.
Did you find any prospective employees?
It's kind of hard to come by a licensed cosmetologist at a random job fair, but I get out there and put my 2 cents in.
Had a group.
The connections made were powerful. We're good.
All right, that all we got?
I was gonna say, I really enjoyed the dog park opening and watching all the dogs running around. I just thought that was so fun, and I thought everybody did a great job, and snacks and Lynn and everything she put out there. And I did email Candy, the property owner, and it sounded like she was on a cruise, and she goes, "I'm in the middle of the Atlantic." Well, I assume she was on a cruise. But I sent her pictures, and she seemed very.
Top secret mission.
All right.
It was a very good job. And thank you, Lynn, for all that setup. Make that happen.
Call it a night then.
Have you noticed any dogs over there, Cody? Like, are people coming? They are.
Oh, that was yesterday. It was like